You want to go to this incredible country in Africa called Tanzania. You should. Hey, a quick Google search will just take you on a journey around the world. It's so incredible. You could just see these images. And if you are not planning a trip to Tanzania, I think you should. I mean, the culture, the beauty, the raw landscapes, the people are wonderful, the animals, Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest mountain. I mean, there's animals everywhere in these national parks and conservation areas. The beautiful cities, the people are so wonderful. The food, the culture. Tanzania has Zanzibar. Look at these pictures. Oh my goodness, it's incredible. And of course, you have safaris, hot air balloon rides. You have the Masai Mara people. You can go and volunteer there. I mean, this is a country you need to get to. But if you're going to get there, you need a visa. So keep watching, and I would love to share with you how easy it is to get your online visa. But hey, there's some pro tips along the way. Let's go. So we're here at the visa.immigration.go.tz website. And let me tell you, you want to start here. You want to check to make sure this is the actual government site. There are unfortunately some fraud sites, so definitely start here. But before that, make sure that you know that Firefox or Chrome are the preferred browsers. That's right. So my name is Scott, and one of the jobs I have is I'm a tour director, and I've been to Africa on safari about 19 times. And last summer when I was there, a lot of people in my group tried to get their online visa, and they were using Safari or they were private browsing. And I'm just telling you, you don't want to frustrate yourself more during this process. So use Chrome or use Firefox. Now, if you're going to go to Tanzania, you have two options. Option number one, you can apply for your visa in the airport upon arrival. I would highly discourage that because you are already going to be exhausted and probably in a different time zone than where you came from. And so if you just do it online, it's over, you're approved, and then when you get in the airport, you are just getting in the line to cruise right through. So I would highly recommend doing this visa online. Now, before you start, please know these four things. You need to know what type of visa, you need to have your documents ready, you need to also know if you're allowed to go in and if you are allowed to go in with permission. So if you are from, let's say, the United States and Canada, as of this recording, you are absolutely allowed to go in. Same thing with Europe right now, most all of Europe. But there's three options as you get started here. And for most of us, we are going to apply for a new visa. So this is what you're going to start with. Click here first. Now, if you've already done this, you're going to come back and click this. We're going to talk about the importance of screenshotting your application as you go along, especially the important parts. Now, I've been to Africa many times on safari, and so I was there last year. And so for me, if I went back within a year, I could amend my visa status and I could just put in different dates and I would use the visa from last year. For example, I'll be in Africa next year in Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa. And so I might, depending on the date, be able to use the visa for this summer for next summer. So, but for most of us, this is where you want to be right here at the new application. So let's go ahead and click on that and let's get started. We are here at the first page of our visa application system. And right off the get-go, want to make sure that you know about this right here on the bottom. And this is the support email. For example, last summer, I needed to reach out to them multiple times because my payment was not being accepted, even though I tried 2, 3, 4, 5 different things. So there is the support email. We'll talk about other ways to contact the embassy if you need to. So here we go. This is all pretty basic. So you want your email, and then, of course, you want your passport. Now, as we talk about passports, please do remember a couple quick things. From the time that you leave Tanzania after your tour or trip there, your passport needs to be valid for 6 months. or they could deny your entry into Tanzania, even if you're standing in the airport. I have heard of horror stories. So please double check that passport, that it is valid for 6 months after the last date that you are there. Security question is just like just about any other question you have. Here's your answer, and then of course you're going to click I'm not a robot, and you want to start your new application. Here we are in Gmail. So whatever email service you use, after you fill out that very first page, I would check your email, because they should basically tell you you are applying for a visa. So they're going to give you your application ID, today's date, and then they're just going to say, keep this in a safe and secure place. So I would make sure after that very first page, you just go to your email and check to make sure it's there. Now, if it's not here in your inbox, you might want to click more, or you might want to check your spam and make sure that is there. Now, if it's not there, it could still be a lag in an email, in a server, so you can continue on, but definitely make sure that you know you will get this introductory email right after you complete the first page. Well, now you're going to get into the meat of it. You're going to already have your application ID and, of course, your email. And the first one is your personal information. So this is fairly standard, but they do have a big note here. Please make sure you input the info as it's written in your passport. Even though these are mandatory fields and this is not, I would put your middle name in there. So go ahead and put your first name, middle name, and last name, your gender, male or female, your marital status, and then the date and place of birth, country, and city. Now, your nationality at birth could definitely be different than your present nationality, like it is for me. And then your resident status, then click Save and Continue. As you continue with your personal information, you'll want to then put in your contact address and employment. So you don't have to fill this out, but of course this is a mandatory field. This email should be the same as the one you used previously. Your present address, city and country, and permanent, I think that's what it's supposed to say, is permanent, and this obviously can be the same. Your employment status, and then of course your employer and occupation. Once you put this in, this will become a mandatory field. After you have all of this done, you'll come up to your travel information. And I can tell you as a tour guide and tour director, taking people to Africa before and again this summer, this should be accurate. I have seen people get their visa rejected, as well as flagged and stopped and interrogated in the airport. Why did you lie to us about your visa and visa stay? So you'll think, how can they check? Well, they can check, but also because they know how long you say that you're going to stay, they sometimes will flag somebody and pull them out of line and give them a stern talking to, and even deny entry with the exception of going to the embassy the next day. So it could really screw up your plans. I would make sure you have all this ready. So where are you applying from? And then the nearby embassy would be here in the United States, Washington, D.C. So you'll see that in the drop-down list. Now, this is one that baffles some people. And for the most part, you really want to think about, what are you doing? And this information should come from either the tour agency or the director of your trip. You should know this so that your application is not denied. Purpose of your trip, it's fairly clear there. And then, of course, your first time or not. So for me, example, I would put no, and then the date of my last visit, and then my visa number would come up. And this would actually give me, as somebody who's been there, the opportunity to check to see if I can still piggyback off my last visa. Now, your travel plans, especially if they're different, like Zanzibar or the mainland, you definitely want to know what you want to put in there, or what you should put in there. This does matter, so once you select this, there might be a drop-down menu here. Your port type, there's really 3 entry points, and so that would be the capital Dar es Salaam. It would be probably the most popular for safari, would be Kilimanjaro, and then there's Mwanza International. So there's 3 options there. This is basically most people arrive by plane and where you're flying out of or you're departing from, and there's a lot of options here. So you want to think about the day you're actually being in the country, not just the day that you leave your country. And here would be how long in days will you stay. So include the arrival date and include the departure date. After you put in your date of arrival and your duration of time in Tanzania, you want to click host. So this is basically how you've organized your tour or your tour operator. You'll want their full name, and a lot of them have a middle name, and then of course their phone number, their email, organization name, relationship. You could just put tour operator and their physical address. Now, just to note, this might just say something basic like in front of this grocery store by this bank, comma, the name of where it is, and then Tanzania, and that's okay. So they don't have the exact addresses like we have in North America. Where are you going to stay? This is basically your first accommodation, and a lot of flights arrive in the evening, so just put that hotel and that physical address. Again, this is very similar to this one, and it might just have a pretty general address, and don't worry about it. Now, if you want to tell them the countries you've resided in, this isn't very clear. Is it in the last 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? So for me, for example, I've lived in several countries, but I never really add any here. I don't really think they care. I think this is more of a diplomatic or a terroristic yellow or red flag they're looking for. I think you're good to go to pass this over. If it's not a country that is really, really being scrutinized at that moment. Then you want to go ahead and hit save and continue. Now, if you need to start gathering your documents and you haven't done that, go ahead and hit save and exit and then come back to it. Just make sure you have screenshotted this. Okay, you've gotten to a very important page, and the first thing you want to do is upload your passport size photo. Now, this doesn't have to be a passport photo, just the size of it. Now, it is very important that it's either a JPEG or PNG and that it's below 300 kilobits. So it's very important to just make sure that your face is in the center of it. And actually, I've seen some people with green back here and blue back here, but no hat, no glasses, and just a clear shot of your face. Again, it does not have to be a passport photo, but just about the size of one. So generally they're about 1 by 1. So you want to go ahead and choose the file, upload it, and then if it rejects it, just resize it. So resize it down, whatever program you're using, and just keep resizing. And again, remember, they will not accept over 300, okay? So you could click in your software, your photo program, maybe right click or double click or go up in file or get info and just look at the size of that. Now, this is a 2-page passport submission that you need to do. Not just the first page, but open, wide open. I wouldn't have any shading here, just flatten it wide open. You can put it, of course, horizontal or vertical, but again, it's the same deal as before. This is the requirement and this is the requirement. So go ahead and hit choose file and make sure that you upload that. Now, this is a very important one right here, and this is your travel plans. So they want to know when you're leaving. So go ahead and do a screenshot or take a picture of your ticket when you're leaving Tanzania and go ahead and upload that as a PDF, not as a JPEG or PNG, and then it's 1 megabyte max. So you need all 3 of these in order to be able to go to the next page. Now, if you don't have them, go ahead and save and exit based on what you do have. And these you do not have to upload in any certain order. After that, go ahead and hit the save and continue, and you're coming around third base. You're almost there. Okay, right before you make your payment, you are just going to review your information and declare what they want you to know. So after this, you cannot edit your information, so please definitely check all of this. Now this is going to be your photo, and then of course all of this is what you've put in before. So please make sure it's right before you get to the declaration page where you have to click that you have read what they want you to know. And as you go ahead and look through all of your information, just really make sure it's accurate, including your passport number. And then just review all this, and if you've just taken your time, it'll be perfect and you can cruise right through this. Okay, you're almost done with reviewing your information, and now you're going to just look at your passport, your return ticket if you'd like to, and then read the disclaimer. So here comes a declaration statement that you should probably read, skim over, and you will sign at the bottom by a little check mark. As you finish up reading the declaration, please make sure you know that all these fees are prepaid, non-refundable, and non-transferable, which means if you screw up, they can keep your money and you have to do it over again. That's happened to a few folks that I know, and in a couple cases they allowed them to amend something, but do know that you are out of your money if you are denied. Now, the last thing you want to do is just go ahead and click that you have read and you understood all of this, and then click Save and Continue. Okay, so the next screen is the payment screen, and this is where things can get sticky. Unfortunately, even though Africa is an amazing continent and Tanzania is an incredible country, fraud exists. So a lot of banks and credit cards have fraud alerts about wire transfers, bank transfers, and credit card payments to Africa. Yes, the entire country. So this is when you just need to be patient and realize that this is a different continent that you're dealing with if you're not from Africa, and that you should just follow this and go slow here, okay? So all of the grayed out areas are my information, but you'll see all of them, and the first thing you just want to make sure is you want to check your visa. So I have a multiple entry visa, and it is going to cost $100. That's for a year. And your payment methods are here. So the one is a bank deposit or SWIFT transfer, like a wire. So you could go ahead and fill this out if you want to go that option. The second option is Visa or MasterCard. And probably 95% of the people I know and that I've talked to in Africa have done number 2 here. So Visa or MasterCard, you'll note that there is no Discover and there's no Amex. Now, big pro tip here. Are you ready? So, no, they will not accept Capital One or Navy Federal. So those will be denied. They do not accept Capital One or Navy Federal. So please try to know that if you have a Visa or MasterCard and they're really strict on flagging any suspicious activity, this will be flagged. Mark my words, it will be. So again, please be patient. Now, I filled this out recently for myself as well as my wife. And in both cases, it did not accept my payment and made me go here. So one of the things is that your application has a control number, and you'll see that control number right here as well as over here. So all I had to do after I tried to use my Visa or MasterCard and was denied is hit the back button, go to this website, and then they accepted my payment. So please do know they have already instituted this workaround, which they did not have last year. So this is a really good thing. But we're almost done with this easy application, so go ahead, take your time, make sure that you're putting in all your information correctly, and then proceed with your payment. So when I tried to first use my Visa and MasterCard, this is the error message that I received. So don't freak out, don't think you've been hacked. This is unfortunately, I think pretty common. So again, make sure you use either Firefox or Chrome, or if you don't have it, you can download it. If you don't want to do that, have a friend do it for you that you trust or a family member. But last year when I did this, I was on Safari until I learned the pro tip of using the correct browser. But this is somewhat normal. So again, be patient. So you can see that my payment was denied right at this screen, but then when I open this screen, this is what you get. So remember, you need to copy your control number, put it in here, click this, then hit search, and it should come up within about 10 seconds. This is the optional way to pay. Here we are at the payment screen for Plan B, and your control number will be here, your name, and then your amount of Visa. Go ahead and click Pay Now. Okay, so at the payment screen, you'll see the first thing is you have about 20 minutes to pay. And so I would make sure that you get both of these right and your expiration date, security code, and then click Pay. Now, interesting, there was a $1.50 charge for a service fee. So mine was $100, but my wife's was $101.50. So just make note of that. Success! So you'll have a receipt number and you'll have all of this information here. I would definitely screenshot this. You might want to toggle back and forth to your email to see if you have a receipt. Now, this is not an approved Visa, but this is your receipt for your application of your Visa. Okay, so just when I thought that my payment went through, I used one credit card from Bank of America. And for my wife, I used a different one. That is a pro tip. If you try to use a transaction for Africa on the same card 2 times in a row, often the second time will get flagged and it will be denied. Then you'll need to call your bank or sign on online, authorize the charge. And then it might not go through for another 72 hours. So I would highly recommend just getting ready to know that even if you have a receipt from Tanzania, you also need to know that you might be getting a message like this. So it has been processed to the bank, but it has not been processed fully yet because your bank hasn't approved it. So you can see here, it was $100 and then it was added $1.50. And this is for an immigration visa for Tanzania. You're going to get a code. You could probably get it on your phone or from your email. You want to put that in here, hit submit, and that tells your financial institution that you are making this charge. And here's the screen we've all waited for. Application completed. Now, I'll be straight up honest with you. Last year, this took me 6 different times over 7 days. The level of frustration was high. Well, when I got to Tanzania, the country is amazing. So hopefully you will get this very easily and you'll be happy and have an incredible tour to Tanzania. Before you go, please check the description because there's lots of helpful info and tips there. And if you have any questions about this, feel free to reach out to me below this video. But again, folks, thanks so much for watching. Have an amazing time in Tanzania.